Pakistan and India have exchanged gunfire across the line of control in disputed Kashmir overnight. The flare-up follows an attack on tourists in Pahalgam this week, which killed 26 people and put both nations on high alert. India's army chief is visiting the site and reviewing security. While the UN has called for calm, the nuclear-armed nations have unleashed a raft of measures against each other. India has scrapped a water-sharing treaty with Islamabad. Pakistani officials say any attempt to stop the supply of water to millions of people would be considered an act of war.
Security has been bolstered near India's High Commission in Islamabad after huge protests reached its gates. Pakistan's people and its leaders strongly reject India's allegations that their country is behind Tuesday's attack in Kashmir.
We want to make it clear that there should be no war because the region is an atomic flashpoint. Right now, 3 nuclear powers, Pakistan, India and China, are all here. If war breaks out, more than half the world's population could be wiped out.
If the conflict does escalate, it could well be over water supplies.
Our one main peaceful demand was that since Pakistan is an agricultural country and its main focus is on agriculture, the Indus Water Treaty, which was signed between the leaders of India and Pakistan, should not be unilaterally suspended. This would be a direct violation of international laws.
The Indus Water Treaty was signed in 1960 by India and Pakistan and mediated by the World Bank following disputes over the water that flows downstream from rivers in India into the Indus Basin in Pakistan. It split the Indus and its tributaries between the two countries. Over 80% of Pakistan's agriculture relies on this river system. India's suspension of the Indus Water Treaty has infuriated Islamabad.
Any attempt to stop or divert the flow of water belonging to Pakistan, as per the Indus Water Treaty, and the usurpation of the rights of lower riparian will be considered as an act of war and responded with full force across the complete spectrum of national power.
Experts are doubtful that India's current infrastructure along the rivers and waterways would be able to hold back huge volumes of water from flowing into Pakistan. But they believe they could develop ways to slow down or divert water flow into storage systems without informing Pakistan. Threatening the long-standing water treaty is potentially the most existential threat that India is using as retaliation. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi promised to hunt down every person responsible for the attack in Kashmir to the ends of the earth. His words being demonstrated by what is locally called bulldozer justice in Indian-administered Kashmir, where authorities flattened houses belonging to suspected militants. India accuses one of the men of involvement in Tuesday's attack.
Our Daily Bureau Chief Sandra Petersmann is following the latest developments there. Sandra, one of the biggest bones of contention is this river treaty, which has also sparked protests. Can you put India's threats of blocking Pakistan's main water supply into perspective for us?
It is a very significant development, Gerhard, because the suspension of the Indus Water Treaty is a first. It has never happened before. This water treaty was kept in place over decades of conflict and violence between India and Pakistan, especially in the divided Kashmir region. But now India has called it off. And maybe we should look at the Indus River system, because it's more of a river system than just a river. It has a lot of feeders, and it starts all the way up in Tibet and then goes through Kashmir all the way down to the south of Pakistan, to the port city of Karachi. And of course, India cannot just block the flow of the river overnight. It cannot overnight block Pakistan's access to water, but it could do so in the long run. It could reduce the flow of water of this very crucial river, which is a lifeline for millions on both sides, in India and in Pakistan, by, for instance, building dams, by diverting water into canals, by building hydropower plants, by using more, consuming more, which of course would mean less water downstream in the Pakistani side of the river system. And you add then the effects of climate change to the discussion, and you know that this is in fact a long-term serious threat.
Talking about threats, the word war is creeping up a lot recently in this dispute. How realistic are worries of a real war?
I mean, the scenario is pointing towards strikes, at least if you observe the discussions here in India. The Modi government, in fact, has hit back twice militarily against Pakistan after significant attacks, brutal attacks against its troops stationed in the Indian side of Pakistan. Those attacks happened in 2016 and 2019. And now, of course, you have to look at the kind of attack that happened in Kashmir this time around. It was civilians being attacked, unarmed civilians. And if you look at the victims, most of the 26 victims are in fact Hindu men who were reportedly singled out on the basis of their religion. There are more and more reports emerging to the effect, which of course is adding to the anger here, to the frustration here, to the finger pointing at Pakistan, which India accuses of facilitating, of enabling this cross-border terrorism, as it calls it, against India. And also, if we look at India's army chief, who is in the region today, he in January released figures, which we of course cannot independently verify, hinting at the number of militants killed in Kashmir in 2024, over 70. And according to him, most of them were actually infiltrators from Pakistan, he said. And these figures are now back in the fray, are back in the debate. They are heating up living rooms in India, and they are heating up the political discussion that is calling for revenge, that is calling for another strike against Pakistan. And just looking back at the last couple of hours with headlines emerging, you have the Indian Minister of Home Affairs, Amit Shah, who reportedly asked all chief ministers of the Indian federal states here to identify and deport Pakistani citizens back to their homeland because all visas have been cancelled for Pakistanis.
DW's Delhi Bureau Chief Sandra Petersmann there reporting. Thank you very much, Sandra. Oh, that attack has shaken the picturesque mountain resort of Pahalgam in Kashmir, which is administered by India. The region is dependent on tourism, but now visitors have raced to leave the region and operators are wondering if and when they might return. Residents and businesses are trying to assure Indians that they are welcome. DW's Adil Bhatt is in the city of Srinagar, where he met an Indian couple who found themselves close to the location of the massacre.
Sanjay and Anupama had just started their dream holiday when the rampage began, a kilometer away. They escaped, but they are haunted by images of the attack.
I thought that it could have been me, because if I would have been there, or maybe it has happened to a different spot where we were, I may be one of the victim of that particular incident. Whenever we think about these memories of visiting Kashmir and seeing this beautiful place, always that one point will disturb that point, that happiness.
Sanjay is not alone. Thousands of tourists are rushing to leave. Many are gripped by fear and cancelling their trips. On the streets of Kashmir, there is sadness and anger. The local population is reeling from the shock. They are holding protests and peace vigils across Kashmir, condemning the attack.
The killing of these innocent people have left a stain on us. I want to tell the world and the people of India, Kashmiris had nothing to do with this attack. We've always welcomed tourists into our homes and hearts.
We are deeply saddened and disturbed. These tourists came to enjoy the beauty of our land, and instead, they have lost their lives here.
Kashmir region has seen heights of armed insurgency during the 1990s. Thousands of people have been killed here. But rarely have we seen an attack like this in which tourists were targeted at this scale. Experts say that there was always this unwritten rule, even among many militant groups, that tourists will never be targeted. But it seems that those rules have been changed now.
And many Kashmiris fear the consequences will be far-reaching. Tourism is their lifeline, a crucial part of the local economy. At Dal Lake, one of Kashmir's most iconic tourist spots, the impact is already being felt. Yasin Ahmed has been running a houseboat business for decades. He says the fallout has been devastating. Just days ago, his houseboat was full. Today, it's nearly empty.
We have received 130 cancellations in the past few days, and if tourists won't be coming, then we Kashmiris won't be able to support and feed our families, and people like us will die of hunger.
Back to Sanjay and Anupama, these are their final moments in Kashmir. Like thousands of others, they're heading home shaken and heartbroken.
We are carrying very sad memories along with us, and it will not get vanished so fast. I think it will be forever with us till the things will get sorted out, or those people will get caught or get punished.